Oh, we live stream on YouTube? Is that new? Hillary, I don't think Rich is gonna make it either. Just to know.
Okay.
He's in Europe.
Oh, yeah. Somebody said that they saw something on Facebook about
Yes, that's
delicious things.
I think he's having fun, yeah.
right. He put out a photo of him in front of the Trevi Fountain in Rome.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a pretty good reason to not be here.
Right.
And David had a situation. I'm just moving around because it's so glary in here, or something's wrong with my camera.
Your camera has probably like some
Dirty.
hook on it.
Okay, so I'm going to lift my dress and I'm going to wipe the camera. Okay, don't peek. Nope, still not very nice. Wow. Okay, well, I'm going to have to use Goo Gone or something on it. Okay, well, I'm kind of a blur anyway. Before we start, give other people a few minutes to get here. I just wanted to say, it was my big first outing. It seems was Saturday to the Riverfront Park, and that was one amazing concert.
Oh,
Awesome.
wonderful.
Yeah, Michael, I saw you there. I saw Tom there. I didn't see you, Britt, but
Because I left Friday.
where are you?
I am in Connecticut, the land of like antiques and boats.
Oh, that's great. And fishing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's great. Okay, good. So I think let's see, we don't have a quorum here, so we can't even vote on the minutes.
We might get there later, so we can start with the rest of the agenda.
Yeah. I think I'm going to pull up the agenda, but I'll let Britt start talking because I think I put you, Britt, first on the agenda on the whole boat launch meeting.
Yeah, so just to give an update, I think most people have heard about it, but the public meeting is on August 11th. It's a Thursday, so it got shifted from some of the posters that we put up to accommodate the Waterfront Wednesday crowd. So hopefully we'll get better attendance, but the state has put forth like a pre-registration link. And so you have to pre-register to get the invite to the meeting. And like, candidly, I don't know why they would do that instead of just make a link that you could click on, because I worry it's going to throttle attendance, that people have heard it's the 11th and then they go to the city website or they go somewhere to try and join the meeting and then they're throttled. So does anyone know why they would do it that way, aside from throttling attendance? No. So then the sticky wicket is like, is it one link per person? So like if like Michael Hoffman got the link, could Michael then post it publicly, or will it only let Michael in?
Some
I don't
meetings are
know.
like that, but we'll have to find out.
So because of that, I'd like to suggest that maybe somebody at City Hall, be it Michael, Tom, or the mayor, hosts the meeting and like makes it public. So like they would host it in the conference room or that main room on like a large screen, so that we could also say, if you try to get in on the Zoom or try to get in and you didn't pre-register, you can go to this place physically and go, and it'll be on the large screen and have a chance to have your voice said. So either it's like City Hall or maybe it's the public library, because I really do worry that people, like, I'm pretty adroit at computers, and even I would be like, it's an extra step to have to pre-register and then attend a meeting. I don't usually see a pre-registration, so I think it's a little funky.
I
Oh.
think it is a little funky, and I think I was looking at what it takes to register. It's really just your name and email address, but that they also put in what's your concern, or what do you
What
want
do
to
you want to talk about? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that could be because they're trying to like prepare for the meeting.
Yeah, well, it's a reasonable thing to ask.
It is, but I think that we should all, each of us from the CAC and anybody that we can encourage, sign up. And so that we'll each get our own links, or maybe links that we can share. And also we should probably pick from our own personal lists of things that we want to make sure are covered in the meeting, or we can pick from Britt's wonderful list that she made of really good environmental and design things to be looking at from the CAC perspective on the boat launch design. So I wanted to hold off until after this meeting, but I am going to send Britt what you sent to me was the link to sign up for a link to the meeting to everybody on the CAC and encourage them to do that.
Yeah, and then forward to others. I saw Tom had his hand up.
Oh, Tom, yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, the mayor, Michael Hoffman, and I met with the group at the state about this project. And I don't know how much they told you, Britt, but a couple of things worth knowing. One, they seem unconcerned with long-term resiliency. They don't see it as a project that has to last that long. Two, this might not even get funded.
Yeah, it goes through in November if it gets the funding, right?
Right, they get the bond. So I mean, it was great that we were all concerned, and it looked like, you know, they had gone ahead without us. They've really not done that, and they do want to. I mean, it was the pressure sort of from us to do. I mean, they were planning on doing some kind of outreach, but we kind of asked them to do this sooner than later, so that everybody understood where they actually stand in the process, which, as Britt knows, is like
it's almost too far. So like this is the conundrum is they're at 100% construction documents.
Right.
So that's really far. They're at a point where any feedback will incur additional design changes from their consultant, which was Stantec. And so like there was a step that was missed here, and from their feedback they said they consulted the mayor, they consulted the
4 people at that
exactly, it was a very small group, and they did it in January of 2020,
right, and 2 of them were from the powerboat.
Well, I mean, like whoever attended the meeting, it doesn't totally even matter who it is, but it matters it wasn't representative of the city, of the whole population. And then they also just did it so early on in the process. They should have had another meeting within the last 2 years before they got to 100% construction documents. So, oh, Hillary, you just came in really clearly. So I think the only way they're ever going to change anything is if the mayor's office obviously has some significant lean, but also the community does. So they might not be interested in long-term sustainability, but it's our taxpayer dollars that are funding this park, even through that presumptive bill that happens in November.
I agree. And we were not, we tried to reflect the city's displeasure with the process so far.
Yeah, and
whether that registered or not is not clear, you know, you never.
I do think it's like starting to register simply because like they put forth that survey of like, what are you interested in? So they're obviously trying to take a temperature of the community, because my worry would be they just sort of like just present the design, and I've seen the design and I met with the landscape architect that's running the project. And you know, like each person will pick out what they think works and doesn't work, but I was a little worried they were just going to present it and not take feedback. So, you know, it's good that they're taking some feedback.
The other question I had, and, you know, in a way, I wouldn't be disappointed if the funding wasn't there in November and they would have real reason to go back to the drawing board. Because I think that the community learned a lot through the Hudson Valley collaborative efforts, and the community learned a lot about the environment, what inclusion means, what having many meetings means, what really thinking through the process is like, and to be concerned about resiliency. And if you're going to spend millions of dollars, what it should look like. And you should be thinking 20, 40, 50, 100 years out. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I do think that they are trying to keep tight control on all of this. And
It reminds me a lot of how the state dealt with the city on the New York State, the Empire Trail.
oh, yeah.
It was just kind of forced through. They did do some outreach, but it was very minimal, and they didn't really listen to anything. They made a couple gestures towards listening, but then more or less with one significant change, because we
Yeah.
didn't want them going up Warren Street because of it would then have to go south on Third.
On
and
the
that would
truck
have been a
route.
disaster for bicycles on that.
Yeah,
corner.
that's dangerous. Yeah.
So that was like the only thing they listened to us about, but other people actually wanted them to go Warren, so who knows? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I feel that if enough people attend the meeting and are like loud enough, it becomes a hullabaloo that they have to respond to some extent. But
Their main,
Yeah.
oh, sorry.
go ahead.
Their main goal seemed to be to present what am I gonna say, a prettier park-like setting at the boat launch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't seem
Yeah.
to go really beyond that. So that more
They're-
people will hang out there and sit on the waterfront. And that seemed to be their main interest.
Tom,
I
did-
think oh, sorry, Hillary, but I was
no,
gonna
go
say
ahead.
that I think Tom is hitting on something that's a subtle point, that they are interested in the footprint that is the park, period.
Right.
So I don't know if the people attending the meeting have that same interest. I know as a CAC member, I am interested in that. And that's when I made like my bullet pointed list to CAC members when I talked about like resilient plantings, because they have turf grass. We should have resilient plantings that can handle flood inundations from water rush.
Yeah.
Permeable paving. They don't have permeable paving in their design. You know, the things I talked about, possibly putting in trees instead of shade structures that are built objects. So those are the things that I'm interested in. I'm hoping the CAC is also interested in. Thanks. But they, I think, you know, don't want to talk about anything outside that footprint.
Yeah. No, when we brought up the resiliency issue, they were just like, no.
So that's disappointing to me. They should care about resiliency.
I'm curious, Tom, did they have a price tag for this yet?
That's a good question. I think they do have it priced out more or less, but you know, who knows? They didn't mention numbers at all. But you know, and those things are changing constantly because the nature of the beast these days, you know, I mean, it's hard to
Right.
get any infrastructure project.
I think they're
Properly
going to
planned.
base it off of Coxsackie, and Colarusso was the contractor there.
Yep.
And Chris Moore had very nice things to say about his experience working with them, and I think it was 4 million.
Wow.
It's not cheap. It shouldn't be planned to be obsolete in 10 years.
Right. And
25.
the other thing that I noticed, and I want to go back down there and check it out again, but the angle of the sun when it's in most use, which is summer or late spring through early fall, the angle of the sun, those shade structures are going to give you almost no shade that they have designed, because because the sun comes at such an angle, and it's so you know, from Catskill basically, and it just angles right in there, and it's a hot spot no matter what. That really I agree that trees are better, but then we'd have to plant the right trees for that kind of water inundation. And I don't think we could just load up the whole waterfront with weeping willows, but
But we could, there's a lot of great shade trees that you can do that can handle riparian inundation. Some are evergreen, some aren't, but that would definitely add shade. So there's solutions. Oh God, the dog.
yeah.
Anyway, so we can put a pin in this, but just to say, I think we should publicize the meeting so we can send out the link to pre-register and send it to 5 of your friends who hopefully will keep populating it, because only the pre-registered people will get an invite. And Tom, maybe you or Michael Hoffman can host the meeting at City Hall, and we can tell. Okay, I raised eyebrow, but maybe Michael can do it. And if people didn't pre-register, we can give them Plan B. Go to City Hall.
No, please send me an email and I will talk about it with Michael, one of us.
Okay, cool. Yeah, whoever it is. All right, awesome. Thanks.
Tom, one other question about that. Was that the same meeting that the Wendy and Kaya were at with the state?
No.
They also had a meeting with the state about the boat launch and about various things, but the boat launch became a big topic, and they were showing all of their plans for Riverfront Park. And so, I think that they have a big hint as to what sort of design thinking we would be aiming for.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that Britt also shared their designs with, yeah. Okay.
And I spent like 4 or 5 hours with Chris Moore, like walking the space with him. So he definitely knows
Wow.
every thought we could possibly have that I have, but hopefully the city is
Right.
representative of. Okay. Said my part.
Okay, I'm not sure if anybody on the meeting tonight has an update on climate smart status report of any kind. No, okay. That's, I am getting better. I've been totally or pretty out of it for the last 6-7 weeks. And I have also done nothing. And Michael, when you shook your head, that also means that there's been no progress with Nathan or Rich that you know of on the scoping document?
That's my understanding, yes. Now, but the other thing I wanted to mention was at the Climate Carnival.
Mhm.
Rich and I met while we were there, and of course we're embarrassed about our lack of presence at the fair. The other CACs and Climate Smart Communities committees from around the county were obviously quite active and had a more robust outreach activity that was very good. I mean, I was very impressed by the efforts that they made to do, public education, which is part of the way the Climate Smart Communities program is set up. So one of the things that I got out of it, as well as a conversation that I had with the people at an organization, Hudson Valley Climate folks, was that we need more people. The three of us, Rich and Nathan and I, are too susceptible to problems or time upsets or conflicts that would affect any one of us. And it would really work better if we had other members of the administration, a broader set of people in the Climate Smart Communities Task Force that would help us keep the momentum going, even if one or more of us was, called away to Rome or something. You never know when that might happen.
Yeah.
Yes. So that I think has to be an action item. That
I wrote that down as an action item.
right is to see what we can do to broaden the base here.
Would it make sense to maybe ask a common council member,
Yes.
like one that's shown a particular interest in green
Yep.
initiatives?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think that we as a CAC could have had a stronger presence. I know that I was excited about it, and then I got sick. And I couldn't even attend. I mean, I was
Right.
not in any shape. But anyway, so I was quite sorry I didn't attend. I heard that it was wonderful.
Oh yeah.
People taking stuff to get repaired and all kinds of really, good community.
Oh,
things.
great stuff for kids. The free store, they had a great big room full of clothes and toys and so forth, all given away by the end of the day. And of course, the repair cafe, a whole lot of people getting their stuff fixed and keeping it from the landfill.
Yeah.
And well, just a marvelous day, and they're going to repeat it. So it's a worthwhile thing to support.
And I will reach out. Well, let Tom, your opinion on who from the Common Council would probably be a good person to ask to be engaged with the Climate Smart Committee.
It's a good question. Ryan maybe, but Ryan has kind of been missing in action lately because of work.
And he's got the solar project, which takes.
Yeah, I don't know how much time he's spending on that either. But let me, geez.
Maybe Mohammed?
Dewan maybe. Yeah, Dewan might be good because he doesn't really have much else on his plate as a council member.
And he was on solar.
And he was on the solar committee. That's right. Who's that? Oh, that's Linda.
Yeah.
Linda.
Linda, who knows everything in every committee.
It does. Yeah, let me give it some thought and we'll come up with someone. And I will tell them they have no choice.
That'll be very
We
helpful.
also
Thank
need
you.
some more people from the community, I think.
Yes.
So let's all think about that. There's certainly a lot of interest. We just have to, I've been kind of antsy to join, but I don't want to join until Hudson gets credit for me joining the. I know for
For the community solar project.
community solar energy, right. But I think I might just sign up and we'll get that scoping document done and then Hudson can start getting credit for it.
I wish I could be more involved during this season, but this is Vanessa, everyone. But I'm a single parent and I'm working full time as a gardener, so I'm just kind of exhausted. But check in with me if there's anything happening in the winter. That's when I will have more time and energy. But they sound like really exciting prospects.
Well, and if you can think of anybody who would be good to work on climate smart initiatives, just somebody from the community, it would be great. Let's see, what's our
Oh, I don't know if you see the chat. Claire Cousins
Hi, Claire.
seems to be interested.
Oh, Claire,
She-
that's
she is a
great.
supervisor.
Hi, everybody.
That's okay.
I have
think-
bad service, so I sent it in the chat.
Oh,
Sorry.
excellent. Okay. Well, chime in anytime, Claire, if you don't have to raise your hand or something if you don't have the ability right now. The next thing that was on the agenda was, Park and Street Tree expert. And sorry to keep going to you, Tom. It's because Michael's not on the call tonight.
me call
Have
him
you
up.
heard anything happening at City Hall toward somebody, a new hire?
No, but I do know it's part of the delay has to do with civil service and figuring out the exact status of and job description, which is not
Okay.
as simple as you might think it should be.
Yeah, some of the people that Hillary and I had chatted with and interviewed said that there wasn't a civil service test exactly for this. Like they all took a random test that was not related to the job position.
Right. Which isn't a total, I mean, it's not a, it doesn't mean you can't create that job or create a civil service role. It just takes more time and you have to, create it and get it passed by the Civil Service Board.
Got it. And do you have any sense of timeline on that, or is it completely arbitrary based on this? How
No,
often
and
the Civil
I
Service
think,
Board
the way things are going, it's probably a matter of us also budgeting for it. Because, we begin next year's budget in September, August, so
but it's on your radar to budget for it.
absolutely.
Great. That is really good news. That actually segues into something that I forgot to put on the agenda, and that is budget. The CAC needs to come up with a budget for the CAC. Basically, we've come up with 2 items that we know that we want to try to pay for next year. One is Linda Fenoff, yay! And 2, very important, we want to be able to pay for planting 25 trees. So those items we know about that we'll work on and we'll submit. Is there anything else from CAC members or anybody who's here tonight that you think the CAC should definitely be adding to the budget, Britt?
Well, and this might get totally squished, but recycling bins on the streetscapes. Like we have trash bins, and I know we have single stream recycling. Like, could we get recycling bins even like just down Warren outside of coffee shops or food places where there's so much plastic waste?
That is a really good idea. I don't know if it should come out of our budget, but that
just
is
put
a
it in there and
really
see where
good
they take it.
idea. And even if we did a starter program of 5 cans, we asked for 5 cans and we put them in strategic locations. And
we can coordinate with Rob and his office, obviously, but like, and maybe it should be in his budget, but let's try asking.
And
I would recommend if you need to be out east, to take a look at City of Great Barrington, which several years ago sponsored a contest for artists to design the nicest, most interesting looking recycling bins that would, still conform to any of the physical attributes that you'd want in a bin, but also look really nice. And so they have, well, I guess 20 or 30 of them throughout the downtown area.
so do they look good or does it look like clutter?
Oh, it looks, I think they look very nice. But
Are they
I mean,
each
in the
different?
simple, oh, they're all different. But the, the simple way to do it would just be to take the appropriate size openings for, cans and bottles or paper and so forth, and that'd work. Just to, perhaps even attach them to our existing public waste cans.
Well, not to mention that it would make it easier for the canners to go up and down Warren.
Oh, indeed, right. That'd be fine.
That's true. So why don't we'll put it in our budget,
Mhm.
See them remove it around someone else's budget.
No, I love it. I think we should definitely do an initiative like that. I think that's great. Anything else on budget items right now?
Marie?
Yeah, Hillary.
Yes.
So I don't know. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen to this enormous, the largest climate bill in the history of the world. But if it does pass, then climate smart communities is going to look a bit like, the change you find behind the sofa. And I guess the question is it worth considering? I think this is something that the council and the CAC are probably going to need to work together to assess. And I can't imagine there won't be small working groups across the region trying to figure out exactly how this bill is going to affect them financially. But there's a lot of direct payments to cities, to local governments, to individual households. I mean, it's billions of dollars, and all the things that we talk about are literally going to, if this bill passes, would obviously be included in this bill. So are we going to be ready to, grasp the mantle when it actually happens, I guess?
That's really, I think, a question that our, first of all, our grant writers will go a long way to reading the documents and figuring out what's truly available. And that's how it's worked with other, it's not something, I don't think any of us can take on that, take that on and try to figure out what's going to come down to small municipalities. So it's going to rely on people like our grant writers to read through it and figure out what's available to us, is my guess.
Right. The other thing is the timing, that they're going to have another vote in the Senate on this tomorrow, apparently, or soon, perhaps by the end of the week, that will determine whether it's actually passed.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We don't know if
And
it's
then
going to pass
going to the
yet.
House. And so we're looking at some potential changes to the language of the bill. So then it'll take, I'm sure, months before it gets translated into the actual nuts and bolts of how the money will be distributed, which is the province of the rulemaking.
Exactly.
I would just
after.
like to also add that there's going to be a significant amount of money for new builds and existing buildings as well for enhancements. And I think this is where we start talking about our link up with HHA. And it just happens to be that Claire is sitting here, which is sort of surprising, because I was going to talk about how this is something that now maybe we can begin to jump into. And I think 2023 is going to be a big year if this bill passes for this. I think there's a lot more. I think there's going to be a lot of communities that are going to do a lot more than just have their grant writers take a look at it. I'm going to be frank. I think there's a lot of money here and a lot of opportunity. And I can imagine small communities getting together and having working groups, teaming up to write larger grants, anyway, just throwing it out there that this thing is certainly on the agenda for 2023.
Claire, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I was just gonna agree with Marie and say that I know that a lot of the conversations that people are having around like new development or improvements to housing, or anything that is new coming, everybody wants to have, a climate smart lens. But I think that there's not enough education for folks. So I think that this committee is gonna become experts. And I think that maybe putting some time into um, strategic planning around community education and reaching out to some stakeholders about what this grant could mean for the community is going to be really important, especially since, like you said, with HHA we have a new leader, a new executive director that probably wants to be involved in all of these conversations, things as seemingly small as energy efficient windows and the right kind of fridges are conversations that we have on a constant basis, and maybe you guys have some more leads to where people should be going for those types of things. So I think that type of partnership and those types of conversations offline could start now.
Okay, that's great. That's great to hear, Claire, because I think that, we got a little bit involved in putting some language into the RFP or the RFQ back when that was being written for HHA. And I think that we need to make sure that we stay on top of being engaged and letting it be known that we're engaged. But I think, Marie, that you're right to bring up this topic tonight because I think that the more prepared you are, it's sort of like when the state is looking for shovel-ready sites, we need to have concepts ready and thought through budgets of what we would ask for to do certain projects or whatever it is, and basically have packages ready on different topics, or at least to have made that list so that we know when it's time to really start typing away or doing whatever it is when the bill eventually does pass, even if it could be a few months down the road. Being prepared is never a bad thing. I was never a Girl Scout, but preparation is important. And Claire, windows are no small thing. I mean, when it comes to energy efficiency in buildings, that's like one of the key things. So yes, windows.
I just want to point out to Marie that is kind of what we partly pay our grant writers for, to help us identify, what's available and what's appropriate for us. I mean, and remember the ARPA money, that was there and nobody really knew how it was going to work for quite some time.
No, I understand that. I do. I'm just saying it's coming down the highway and it's coming down fast, possibly. And it's 2023. So all I was suggesting is
Yes.
maybe to budget some money. Well, CAC could budget some money for some of that grant writing or analysis work. I don't know. That was all I was really suggesting.
And I'm just reminding you that all government goes slow.
This is very, very true.
Yes.
Very true. Very true. Claire, I'll be in touch with you. Okay, we'll touch base.
The next thing that was on the agenda was the HVC design for climate resilience for Waterfront Park. And that was basically that they were going to do a presentation, one more or another presentation to the public on the 27th at Waterfront Wednesday. I'm not sure how that went. So I don't think there's anything more to add on that.
They laid out all the proposals as they've done in the past, all the various placards, and had people comment and went through it. They brought it wasn't just Kaya and I forget the other woman's name.
Wendy,
but an engineer that they've worked with. So they had a lot of people there to field questions, and it was a well-attended Waterfront Wednesday, so that was good.
You know, we talked about an autumn Arbor Day, and I am a little bit afraid that my computer's about to run out of juice. And so can you begin talking about Arbor Day? I've got to go get my cord
Yeah.
to plug in. Sorry about this.
We put in for a $10,000 grant from National Grid, and about like 2-3 weeks ago, I got a status update that it's under review, but I don't know how long it'll be under review. And I can't check the status when I log into the website. So I think we just have to sort of like wait and see if we get the money. I think it's probably a long shot that we will get the money because grants are really tricky to get. But without funding, there is no Autumn Arbor Day. So there's not a lot of planning to be done. And honestly, if we were going to hit the window, we should be planning now because your plant window is only September 15th through October 30th.
Have you thought of approaching HTC?
To give us the money? No. Do you think that's likely?
Who knows?
Okay. Yeah, we can
I mean,
try.
so far, they seem mainly concerned with how to hoard their. I would not say that. How to protect their money. I don't know how to invest their money. You know, they don't seem so anxious to find things to spend it on.
How often do they meet?
Once a month.
Okay. Do you know the next time they're meeting?
It's on the city web. Well, it might not be on the city website. It's usually the. Hold on a second.
Because I can go to their. Is it like a public meeting or like?
Yeah, well, they haven't really adjusted too well to contemporary.
So they're in-person type crowd.
Right now, they are. Yes.
Okay.
I'm just trying to remember when the day of the month that it happens. It's on.
Usually the last Tuesday of the month.
The last and okay.
Okay,
All right. So
that's right.
I'll try and suss out when and where they meet. Tom, maybe I'll just
Usually at noon.
ping you.
And they
And-
meet at one,
At
they meet
the
at 1 North
chamber.
Front Street in the Chamber of Commerce building
Oh, okay. In the middle of the day. Okay. So it's not
at
for,
noon. Yep.
so it's for people that don't have 9-to-5 jobs.
Exactly.
Got it. All right. Well, I'll see if I can squeeze an hour in at lunch and
That's
sneak
nice,
down
yeah.
there. Thanks for the suggestion. All right, so we lost Hillary temporarily. I'm going to just look at the agenda to keep it going. So after that was the North Bay, which was a Hillary thing, and then the tree planting at 41 North 7th, which I believe is the new Thai restaurant. I don't know if anyone's gone to try out the new restaurant, but the new tree is doing well. That's the status I have of that. And then I don't have anything about the North Bay until Hillary gets back. So maybe, does anyone have anything they want to add until we have Hillary? Like another topic that's not on the agenda? Oh, Marie, thank you. I see your note in the chat.
Sorry about that.
Welcome back. You just missed that Tom suggested asking HDC for funding for Arbor Day. So Marie and I are going to try and pop down there and ask them.
Excellent idea. Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, unfortunately, they think their mission now is to increase the tax base of the city. Which
Does
is,
that mean like more people live here?
you can save that question for them.
Okay.
Or does it mean raise
Was
taxes?
that a stated goal?
That's actually now part of their mission statement.
Okay.
Yeah, either raise taxes or raise more people. Anyway. Next.
Okay, next is TLC in the North Bay. I have not spoken with Troy about that concept of making a connection between Hudson. Oh, yeah, Hudson and the Greenport Conservation Area. I sent him a couple of emails, or we've had a couple of emails when I was not well, just saying that I needed to hold off for a little while. So I need to get back in touch with him on that. And the other note here with tree planting at, we did get a tree planted that seems to be surviving at the new Thai restaurant on 7th Street. And that was a great effort and well worth it. We're going to have another nice tree, street tree. I think that about street trees, I think that we need to be strong and vocal about what they do for the city. I think everybody here on this meeting knows exactly what they do for the environment and for the city. And but this summer, with the temperatures we've had, and we need more shade, and we also need them because we're going to. I kind of wish we'd have a big storm tonight, but we're going to have more and more torrential rainstorms. So we need to really push on getting more street trees and shaded areas. And but especially, you know, there's certain pockets that just of the city that just don't have shade at all. Along State Street, Columbia Street, there are places that are just really in need. So
last week along Columbia Street, the utility company was butchering the trees.
I know. That's the other thing that happens. And I've been watching some of that.
There is some news on Columbia. If you're talking about Columbia west of 2nd.
Sure. What's the news?
That part of the DRI plan, the connectivity plan, includes trees for the north side. As you might notice, on the south side, there are plenty of trees.
Right.
It's the north side that needs the trees, and that is part of the plan.
Well, that's fabulous.
In its latest iteration, I don't, who knows if,
Well, at least planning for it. They don't have any sidewalk repairs along that stretch is good sidewalk, I think, if I remember correctly. But there are some dead trees along there. And, one of the problems with removing dead trees is that the sites were okayed before the trees were planted, as far as where the gas lines and water lines and all are. But after a tree is planted, of course, the roots go out and they spread out. And I know that Rob is really reticent to pull out trees that have root systems that went who knows where. So, that is something we have to be really careful about. There were a lot of trees that were planted in the city in the last 7 years that didn't survive. And it's sort of a waste of a tree pit if we can't recycle that tree pit and do a good planting. So that's something that we're going to have to look into. I know I don't have it on this agenda, but it's time to get back to what Britt tried to start about 5 weeks ago, was getting us back to talking about a tree ordinance and also having a tree board. I think that just like with Climate Smart needs a larger group of people to be working together on their things. But I think if we are going to take having a lush, well-shaded city, we do need to get a bigger team together and have a tree board and have a member from each ward, of a civilian, citizen member, steward, that will really work together with the group to start plotting this out and working with the document that Miguel Barrios made for us for our community forestry plan. So is there anything else that anybody wanted to bring up this evening?
Hillary, just real quick, I just wanted to add to the list that we're of things that we're keeping our eye on. I don't
Mhm.
want to put Tom on the spot, but what I don't see sidewalks here.
Oh,
Well, Hillary was
I
there.
know, and that was the meeting I actually went to, and I did,
Oh, well, can we hear an update on the sidewalk meeting?
actually, yes, that was a really an interesting meeting. The city attorney has done a lot of work of looking, especially finding the way that Ithaca changed over to having this system, rotating or revolving system of areas in the city that would have the sidewalks improved upon. And I think that those of us interested, which should be everybody here, I think, in sidewalk improvement should look at the Ithaca site. Apparently, they've had a really good process for getting people to opt in or opt out and to get engaged. Individual homeowners, and they have a good website apparently for letting people know what's happening, where, when, how much, what's going to be repaired. And so I think that we should start getting back to sidewalk meetings, but also I think that we need to see if Ithaca planned in anything that we've been talking about as being so important, and that is the bioswales and spaces for street trees planned right from the get-go. Yes, Tom?
Just go to City of Ithaca sidewalks and you'll get their page, and it's really, really well done.
Okay, and do you know if they did plan for bioswales and trees?
I do not know, no.
Okay. Marie and Claire both have their hands up.
Just really quick, forget it.
Okay.
Mine was up on accident, sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Sorry, do you happen to know how they structured the funding in Ithaca? Does anyone know how that was resolved?
I think that Dominic Moranti is working very hard on that. He's chairing the committee.
No,
That's right. Oh,
do you know how they resolved in Ithaca?
No,
Okay.
I don't. But that was the I didn't take notes. I don't remember.
That's fine. I'm just curious if you heard.
But I know that that is what they're looking hard at now. I think that's the hardest question of the
It's
whole
the
thing.
hardest, but the reason is you designate an area, you put it out to bid, and that way you get the economy of scale. And then you divvy it up among those who have to have their, with fees. It's fee-based, not a tax. So
And is the fee, are you able to attach it to your mortgage?
you-
I believe you are, right? You can fold it into your mortgage.
maybe, or your property taxes. I don't-
Okay, or your property taxes. All right, okay.
But that's a big difference between property tax, because that has to be paid off annually, whereas when it's your mortgage, it's amortized over, or it's spread out.
Oh, I see.
So
Yeah, sure.
that could be an important question, and that's a good one to bring up
Mhm,
at a sidewalk
definitely.
meeting. Yeah, they really felt like they had latched on to a great model, and that they're very serious about getting this moving. So it felt good.
Their first effort, of course, was to the flyer you may have seen that went out to everyone with water bills, which identified, that you're supposed to do it yourself and all that. And it's had some people calling in, because you have to call in and let it be known. You have to get permission from the code enforcement. And the number is pretty good. I mean, it's not huge, but it's a start.
Well, and I did save that letter because, you know, renters would not have gotten that letter. So if anybody, I can scan it. If anybody here would like a copy of what that sidewalk letter was, I have it. I saved it to put it in my CAC file.
I'll take a copy of the only renter on the group.
Oh, well, I don't know that for sure, but maybe you are.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the reasons that my computer goes kaput so quickly during a meeting is that I have too many CAC files on my computer. Tom, do you know if there's a way that I can move them to the city cloud?
No idea.
Okay, I'll ask Michael. Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I know that Tom O'Dowd was doing the Instagram posting, the social media posting. Has anyone else stepped into that?
No, we were hoping you would.
Okay. I was afraid of that. Okay. Well, it just seems like there's a lot of things happening that we could be spreading the word on pretty passively with a few clicks. So maybe I'll reach out to him. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, no, I thought I sent you and Tom a joint email that said, Vanessa, would you consider doing this? So we can, because I think that of all of us, you post the most on Instagram that, I mean, I never do. And I mean, when I do, I screw it up. So that's why you were like, oh, gee, I hope Vanessa will want to do this. I know you're very busy.
Well, that's my only concern is I don't want to overcommit to something that I might fail at because of lack of time. So, I mean, I can take a stab at it, but I can't guarantee that I'll do the best and keep up with it. If there's anyone else who would want to tag team it with it, that would be great. Just putting that out there.
You know what we can do? I'll send an email out to the whole CAC and ask that. And you know, maybe Nathan could.
I was just going to nominate Nathan because I was like, I don't think his plate's as full.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Can-
I appreciate
can
the
I-
nomination.
Can I suggest, I mean, I never do Instagram, but maybe, you know, maybe all of us CAC members, when we see something that's worth photographing or whatever, if we have a point of contact that we can send it to with a little caption, the person wouldn't have to do very much. If
I
they
like-
weren't,
I like that.
if we were all a little bit more involved, because I don't think we are.
Right.
Tom did it all.
I mean, writing an Instagram post takes a lot of time and intention if you don't want to look like an idiot, you know. Yeah, you want to get the right link and the right everything. So it takes time. But I think, yes, if it was kind of general submission as a group and, you know, I could be the point person. I would just need a lot of reminders and support, you know, from everyone on board.
Yeah,
I
you
think
could be
you-
the administrator.
Great. I can probably do that.
Okay, I think you can get that support and Tom can give you all the passwords and links.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, yeah, I think that we should just be getting the word out there on a lot of things. And that's just a kind of no brainer. You basically don't exist if you're not on social media these days, unfortunately.
okay, I don't
Sounds
exist. That's okay.
I'm joking. I'm
I
sorry.
know, I'm teasing. So was there anything else that we'd like to, old business, new business? Okay, we don't have a quorum, so we don't really have a vote to adjourn or not
You do
adjourn.
have a quorum, by the way. You have 5.
Okay. Oh, you're right. Okay, would anybody like to make the motion to adjourn?
I would.
You could also accept the minutes
We could.
while you're at it.
Oh, we could. Do we, let's,
I'll motion to accept minutes.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
I,
Okay, and thank you again, Linda, for your great minutes.
And I'll
Um,
move to adjourn.
Okay, second?
Britt seconds.
Okay.
Thank-
All in favor?
Yay, aye. Yay.
Hi.
Thank you.
Okay, good night, everyone. Thank you.